if Amar doesn't want to play Timber, he will literally call this hero like hot garbage. He will say in interviews, "I think it's a garbage hero. I'm just going to pick it." He does the same thing with Bristleback right now. They're winning, and it's like if he is not picking it, then it's really bad. And I totally agree with the muscle memory. Like every time Timbersaw's range on his W gets increased, the win rate goes up. Huge. Like it becomes meta. Every time it goes down, the win rate goes down significantly. Like there are just some changes in Dota where you see this like cyclical nature. And effectively, with the bug fix, the range on it went down. So we're going to see the cyclical nature of the win rate's going to go down.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move away from that a little bit more because the joy of yesterday, seeing some uncontested heroes popped up, it made us want to look at which heroes are still left uncontested. That teams, I don't know, might want a refresher that they do still exist in this game.
Some of these are really good.
They're good, yeah. I would say that Visage, we're going to be seeing Tundra play a game today. They are the ones that could be still picking this hero. I also think that Venomancer definitely has a place in meta.
Yeah, Toby's
in there. It's one of the more annoying heroes who can control the map. It's very difficult to engage into certain areas of the map unless you're using the smoke, and those are also limited. And I also think that techies could also pop up. I don't think this hero is that bad.
I think Amar Viper, this hero dumpsters Ursa in lane, it dumpsters Sven in lane and in the game, and these are like two really popular carry picks. I feel like Amar is gonna bring it out. And where's this Skywrath Mage? Thompson brings this hero into the meta. Every single pro level pub, you have Skywrath Mage mid, and people are too scared to bring it out at TI. It's so good.
We're talking about teams or people being scared to bring it out, but I remember in the interview yesterday, P-Vision, Ducalis was like, yeah, there's some new things we're trying. We're scrimming with it. We've been altering and having a little bit of a go, Winter. Do you think that that's a sort of hero that's on the card, or it's still something that's in the meta that they just personally haven't picked up?
Well, I'll only believe it if he shows it, you know. Like, he can say whatever he wants. We have 10,000 heroes behind this, you know. We still have a lot of strategies, but I will only believe it once they use it, you know. With Skyrath, I kind of felt like the hero had a lot of potential initially when I saw the changes to the shot and everything. I've seen some players spam it in pubs, especially as mid, but the issue of the hero still remains the same, right? He falls off really, really hard once there's all these pipes, BKBs coming up, and then it feels like in a game, if you have one death or two death, you kind of just lose the game.
I think the Dominator meta also does not suit him.
He doesn't like
He does not like playing into summons, but it just does so much damage that I feel like it's worth making.
He's fun. Okay.
He's really fun, and it's the problem is,
it's not about fun, Jenkins. It's about winning.
well, no one is not the P-Vision playing weird hero player, right? That would be 9 class, and 9 class has got his Alchemist and his Monkey Kings that he's enjoying right now. You know, we're asking where's the 9 class Pudge as well? Pudge seems pretty decent in the meta. We're seeing Whisper play it, but there's just higher priorities for these specialty players is all.
Okay. Well, the heroes aside, I would actually really like to see when our teams are playing, because we are going to be seeing all of our top 8 take the stage again today. It is going to be starting off with the elimination. At the end of the day, we're going to be saying goodbye to our first 2 teams here at the International. But on the flip side of that one, Lakelz, we're going to be having our first 2 teams securing themselves a top 3 position.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting one, especially the upper bracket semis, the first match, Extreme Gaming against P-Vision. It's very difficult to choose which teams you think it's going to win, because P-Vision, they are showing some great strategies coming out. They have a couple of strategies also in the back of their heads if they want to bang it out. Extreme Gaming as well, they're not afraid. This is Xiao 8 we're talking about, so you can't expect them, especially if you go to the distance, if you're going to that game 3, that there's going to be some really new and exciting heroes coming out.
Yeah, the Tidebound Nigma Galaxy elimination matchup as well. It could have been a coin toss at any point, Jenkins, if it was going to be Nigma Galaxy or BB team that they were going up against. So it feels like they've had the least amount of time to prepare for that one.
Yeah, that's a really close one as well, because I feel like Tidebound is also the type of team that can just get 2-0 stomped and then come back the next day and be the best team. I would say this is the most likely team to win the whole thing through the lower bracket. If any team is going to do it, it's going to be Tidebound.
Well, I actually want to look at exactly that, because it feels like, as far as my memory can remember, it's been majority teams from the upper bracket that have gone on to win. And so we collated all of the data for you guys there. And in the history of the Internationals, there have been 4 teams that have gone on to lift the Aegis from the lower bracket.
Out of 13.
Out of 13.
It is very rare that this happens.
I will say though, out of those 4, we've had 2 teams. It was Spirit and Liquid in their respective years that they won. They were upper bracket, immediately dropped to lower bracket,
Right.
and went all the way on to win. So it felt like not round 1, but essentially from the beginning they were running that lower bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of games that you need to play. These are 4 BO3s and the best of 5 that you need to win, and you're also showing most of your strategies as well, so you're giving out that data to the other teams as well, showing what you're going to be playing. That's why the upper bracket is the king, even though Nigma Galaxy would disagree. Or Team Liquid. you know.
Team Liquid.
I mean, it is also worth mentioning that when there was the what was the pre-TI tournament called?
Wildcard? The wildcard?
The wild card.
All last chance qualifiers.
The last chance qualifiers. We had the grand finals. Was the 2.
That was the Singapore TI that you're talking about, right?
The Singapore TI. So it's there is the argument that like amount of games played does play a huge factor into like is a team very dominant, but in that case there was also a lot more time to process those games. Now we have 2 days left after this one. Is there enough time to process?
I mean, I would argue it could be good for you. So you have more time. As long as you're winning the games, you have more time to figure out what to change, and you get to maybe see more of yourself, and then you have to adjust. Because always during the long periods of the initial stages of the tournament, you're going to have to try something that you've already on the screen, but when you go to the tournament, you see something else, then you have to decide what do you have to adjust, right? So getting those games under your belt is always, I think, a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to start for one of these teams, right? We do have our first elimination up on the table to begin our day with here, our day number 2. It's Tundra up against Heroic. We're going to start talking about this because Heroic coming in, the only team that was representing the Americas, right? Our sole South American team, making it into a top 8. We wanted to reflect back, see exactly what their previous TI results have been, and if this is rivaling it, and it is, right? One of the best that they had was back in TI 11, that 5th, 6th position.
Yeah. Thunder Awaken at TI 11 getting that 5th and 6th place. This was the best placement for South America. Infamous TI 9, which did have Whisper and Schofield. And then you also had the Beast Coast getting 7th and 8th place at TI 11, which also did have Whisper and Schofield, plus also Heroic at TI 13, which did have Analog, Schofield, and KJ. So that means that Schofield is the big part of those teams, which means that he needs to have good games to be able to reach that. But we can also see some of the personal records. So for Yuma, Analog, and KJ, they already broke their own personal record, reaching into that top 8. Whisper and Schofield, they're there. So if they somehow manage to get a victory in this one against Tundra, all of them are also going to be breaking their personal records, which is still very huge for South America.
Do you think there's that mental hurdle at all, Winter, when you have that feeling of being the sole representatives for your region? I mean, you're very familiar with SEA, who have had ups and downs before, so they've been in positions like this too.
I think there's definitely going to be a lot of expectations from the fans from the regions, and unfortunately for the players, sometimes it can be bad for you to think too much into it, and you kind of have to just focus on the game. But sometimes it can also be a good motivation. Everyone is waiting, for that good result, and you're going to have the extra energy to push it through when games are tough.
I think there's also the factor of for the whole year, Heroic has had.
They started the year well.
They started the year well, but since then they've had some mixed results.
Sure.
So it kind of feels like I could see them having the feeling and the expectations of okay, this is the tournament that we're doing really well in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to just have one of those series where it's close, but we drop out. We're so close, and this is where, to me, CAFs really comes in as that mental coach, figuring out where the blocks are. Are there any blocks, and if there are, having those talks with this team and getting those solved.
I actually ran into Caps this morning in the elevator. I was walking down at just before 7 a.m. and I was really surprised to see him. I knew they're playing the first game, but to see him awake that early, he's walking to the practice room. These guys are just doing so much to be able to prepare themselves, despite it being an early series, despite it being one of the first series of the day.
Yeah, I think a lot of the work has to really fall on his shoes, Carves on the coach, because based on their recent results, so from the road to the international to right now the playoffs, every game they've played, every series they've played, either they won 2-0 or they lose 2-0. So the first game actually determines, I think, a lot for them, whether their planning for that series works or it doesn't work. Because it seems like they are not really good at adjusting mid-series, or maybe they don't have a lot of variety to change during a match. So I think the first game is going to be really, really important.
Up until yesterday, they had 8-win streak in the road to TI playoffs, which is pretty impressive for a team like this because they managed to be very consistent. This is something that I would say they've been struggling with throughout the whole year. And yesterday, they let that Monkey King go through twice when they played. And I think it's going to be more about adapting what they think it's going to be strong, how much they're willing to learn from what happened yesterday, not just from their own series, but also watching the other series and try to adapt because meta is constantly evolving.
I will say a part of that 8-game win streak you mentioned was 2-0ing Tundra. We also saw it briefly there, right? They've already faced off against each other in the road to the international playoffs, and that very heavily went to the favor of Heroic.
Yeah, one thing interesting about that particular series as well, Tundra had same opening bans against them in that series, but Heroic they have 10 different heroes in that series against Tundra. They picked 10 different heroes even though their opponent started the bans with the same bans both games.
I don't know, like, how much can you look into that? How much does that change? Like, were they just so prepared, or was it they were trying to cover too much?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it could also mean that they have a philosophy that they don't want to play the same thing over again because the enemy will know how to deal with it in the next game.
I think there's also an interesting dynamic that we need to consider, which is the coaches. You have Moon versus Caps. Yesterday we had Caps versus Estini. These are players who have played together for like a decade, right? Like a lot of the coaches that are still remaining are NA and SA coaches, so they know how each other think. So
you're talking about now the Moon and the Caps matchup.
Yes, it's like
and their familiarity.
It's like, of course we're going to talk about Estini and Caps, like both, you know, Brazilian big brain coaches, but it's like, you know, Caps and Moon and Caps and Aoi, it's like these guys have also been playing together on the same server for a decade. They know each other. They know how they think. So I think between these coaches, you're going to see a lot of volatility in the drafting between series. It's like, yes, Tundra did get 2-0'd by Heroic, and maybe they got out-drafted in the road to international, but I don't know how much that means when you have coaches that know each other this well.
Yeah, but that series, it wasn't even close. Like, Tundra was having, I think, 9 kills in one of those games only. They got completely stomped. This was also a game where they played Spectre, which nobody else wanted to touch. Yuma had a pretty flawless performance, didn't die a single time. Helm of the Dominator making that hero viable again. And also, I mean, I've been praising Yuma so far throughout the whole tournament, and I feel like he's having the blast of a tournament. Yesterday, when they're in that game number 1, he didn't die on Ursa for a good 50 minutes in a losing game. They decided to pick him Ursa the second time, but it didn't work out as well. But his performances have been top tier so far.
I mean, to add to that point as well, I think right now Tundra feels like they're picking a lot of different heroes, which can be a good thing or a bad thing.
The horn has sounded. I hope everyone in the arena and at home is ready for this, because that sound can only mean one thing. We're ready to kick off day number 2 at Barclays Arena.
The Aegis of Champions. It bears the record, reminding us of the battles we all hold sacred, the triumphs we still celebrate, the legends we will forever revere. It summons the world's finest contenders, allowing us, empowering us to honor the giants of the past, to realize the magic of the present, to witness the origins of the epic stories of tomorrow.
โดเนท500 บาท Best Thai Stream.
Now we gather at the final proving ground, where the past, but the cheers of the arena will always guide the way. The Aegis of Champions arrives in Hamburg, Germany. A beacon of challenge that shines around the globe. 8 teams compete for ultimate glory.